Hey guys, Josh Carter here with One Objective. In today's video, we're going to be going over how I set up a Texas rig and my top 5 Texas rig baits for late summer bass fishing. So stay tuned. Alright guys, like I said at the beginning of this video, I'm going to be going over my Texas rig setup. But not only that, my top 5 baits I love to throw, especially during the dog days of fishing. So let's get into it. Alright guys, we're going to start off with the reel. I'm just using a Revo SX. This is the high-speed reel. This is what I say high-speed. High-speed is a lot higher now than what this is, but this is a 7-to-4-1 gear ratio. And like I say, I go with a higher gear ratio because, like I say, you want to be able to catch up with those fish when they grab it and start running to you with it or taking off. And not only that, you want to be able to get them out of that stuff quickly, because like I said, if they're running up into trees, they're running up under docks, all that stuff, you want to be able to catch up to them, get them out of there. Also, if you're fishing really deep, like you're like Smith Mountain Lake, you can fish some of these ledges. I mean, you can be fishing 20-30 foot of water, and you know, we're fishing bluffs, they kind of stair step down, so you want to be able to, you know, when it's falling and they hit it, you want to be able to reel down to them quick and set the hook. So it's always important with jigs, Texas rigs, anything like that, like a slow moving bait that you know you're crawling across the bottom, stuff that you're going to want a fast gear ratio with them, because like I say, they can pick it up and start running to you and not even know it sometimes. So it ain't like a reaction bait where they kind of explode on it and you have time to set the hook and catch up with them. But anyways, then my line, I use 15 pound to 20 pound fluorocarbon, the Seaguar and VisiX. I don't go no lower than 15 pound. And like I said, I was talking about earlier, when you're flipping around trees, docks, all the stuff that the big largemouth live in, or smallmouth, whatever you're fishing for, you want to be able to get them out of there. And you don't want to have a low pound test line that could get frayed really easy and end up losing the fish. So you want to go with it is about 20 pound of what around here is what I like to use. I know some guys fishing thick grass, you know, if you're fishing around just tons and tons of like thick laydowns, you might want to go a little bit higher if you're going to be fishing that all day. But around Smith Mountain, for me, Bugs Island, you know, you're fishing some gnarly stuff, but you know, some of these lakes at like Briary Creek and all of them's got a lot of laydowns and trees everywhere down there. You might want to step it up to a little bit higher test line. But and then I'm just using the our One Objective bullet weights or worm weights, flipping weights with our stopper. Now you'll see in some of our videos, especially like nighttime, I'll have a bead on here. I'll have 1 or 2 beads. A lot of times I do that when it's dirty water, or if it's nighttime where I'm trying to get a little bit of extra sound to lure those fish in. Now I will use a bead sometimes just during the day in clear water, but it's 1 bead. It's not a lot of noise. It's kind of a subtle clicking sound. And what I do is I'll just leave a little bit of gap on my bobber stopper here, just so it can click on it a little bit, you know. So, but that's what I do with that. Like I say, most of the time though during the day, I'm not using a bead. But if I feel like you know, if the bites are tough, I'm not getting many, I'll put a little bead on there just to see if I can try to enhance them to bite a little bit better on that. But size right now, this is a 5/16. I use this when I'm fishing a little bit deeper water. I'll go up some. I don't go up too much on my weight, not unless you know you're going to fish something crazy deep. But 5/16 should do what you want to do anywhere around the lake, whether you're fishing deep stuff, whether you casting right up on the bank. You know, I mean, it'll get your bait down there, especially when you're fishing stuff, you know, like pocket crawls and your thicker baits that you know are going to fall a little bit slower. You know, the 5/16 does really well with that. So the hook, these are VMCs, and I use the VMC wide gaps. I also use the Trocar wide gaps, but you can find all this stuff on our website. I'll have links in the bottom of the description of all the baits and hooks and all that stuff. So you can check that out on our oneobjectivebf.com page. But like I say, I use the Trocar, the VMCs. I like them both. They're great hooks. But like I say, I really like the Trocar. They're super sharp. I haven't had a lot of problems. I haven't had any problems with the VMCs, but you know, it just depends on what I get my hands on and which ones I want to use at the time. So, but you can't go wrong with either one. But I like the wide gap. I will go to a flipping hook if I'm doing a lot of heavy cover flipping, like if I'm going to be right up on top of them and I'm flipping into some around stumps and laydowns all day long, I will switch over to the Trocar flipping hooks. I really like their hooks. They got a great hook. So, but now let's kind of get into our top 5 baits. Now these baits, I love these baits for, I mean, they're great all year round. But when you get into the dog days of fishing where it's really tough, you know, sometimes like they're really looking at the, you know, focusing on crawfish and bait fish. So sometimes, you know, you'll get into the creek, especially this time of year where they're starting to move into the creeks. They're chasing the bait fish. Every once in a while you can get in the backs of these creeks and start flipping these crawls around or creature baits around and be able to pull out something, especially during the nighttime hours. These creature baits have got a big profile. You know, they got a lot of action. So creature baits are really great in the summertime, at nighttime, or during the day. You know, just trying to pick up that extra bite. But anyways, so first off, this is a pocket crawl. Y'all have seen me do a lot of videos night fishing. And in the last video I just did, I caught, I don't know, 1 or 2 off of this thing. It was a dink fest, so I can't say a whole lot about that one. But this is just a pocket crawl. This is a Coosa Special. I like summer crawl of green pumpkin. I stay with more of the natural colors with my crawls. They do have one called Alabama Crawl. You can check that out as well. That's a pretty cool looking color with orange on the bottom. But a pocket crawl is my #1 probably go-to bait when I'm fishing at nighttime. But during the daytime, I'll switch up to the Missile Baby Destroyer. This is a hard bait to beat right here, especially if you're flipping around like really tight brush. This thing goes down through it so well. I mean, it just slides right down through, like, you know, laydowns and you know, getting up under docks and all that stuff. This bait here is really hard to beat. And this is the Candy Grass by Missile Baits, the Baby Destroyer. Awesome bait here. Like I say, this is also good during the day too. I've done well with it during the day, and I'll actually have 2 of these tied on. So, you know, I'll flip back and forth around, but it's something about this bait here. I don't know what it is. Like I say, during the day, I can flip it around. I can throw it on a Carolina rig, drag it across the bottom. It's like, it kind of imitates a perch with that candy grass color. They love it. They can't resist it. And it's saved my butt several times. Next thing is the brush hog. Now, when I go down to like Bugs Island, Gaston, all of that, when I'm flipping right up on the bank, because for some reason down at them lakes you can catch them right up on the bank really good down there, especially in the mornings and all that. But a brush hog is hard to beat, and I'll go to the baby brush hog and I'll go to the regular size brush hog, which is a little bit bigger. I'll go to the bigger one when I'm throwing a Carolina rig. They just love them big fish down deep, love that big brush hog. So but this right here is probably my 3rd favorite bait, chasing down those summertime fish. Now my next 2 baits are something I like to throw either in grass or when the bite is getting really tough and I need to go down to a little bit smaller profile. So first off is the G-Tail here by Zoom. I love this bait when I'm flipping around lily pads, when I'm flipping around like all kinds of just like hydrilla, all that stuff, because it goes through it so well. You still have a little bit of action in the tail. You know, like say during the summer, man, when it gets really hot, they'll get deep up into those lily pads, and you can find you a little pocket. You can drag this thing across the top, and once you find you a little pocket, you just drop it down in there. That is why it's important also to have your bobber stopper on here. I don't ever fish a Texas rig without a bobber stopper anymore. So it's important to have your bobber stopper on there, because when you pull it through the grass or through the lily pads, your weight will pull your bait through the hole there. So my next bait that I like to throw is just going to be the Zoom U-Tail. This is a great bait when the bite is tough and they're not really hitting a whole lot, or they're not really aggressive. You still got a lot of action with the tail, but also you got that small profile. So if you don't like throwing shaky heads much, but you want to throw a smaller worm, this is a great bait to go to. So that's my top 5 Texas rig baits I love to throw when it's the dog days of fishing. But other than that, guys, if you like what you see in this video, you can also check out all these baits in the description below. But hit the subscribe button, hit the like button, and we'll talk to you later. See ya.